There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with a review of The Seventh Cross, a 1942 novel by the German writer Anna Seghers, translated from the German expertly by Margot Bataur-Dembo. I just finished this a few days ago, started it during Women in Translation Month, did it as a fabulous slow read, and absolutely loved it. This is a story about Nazi Germany, and if you think you know everything you need to know and have read all the novels and seen all the movies that you need to experience about Nazi Germany, you are wrong if you have not read Anna Seghers. This is the best novel ever written about Nazi Germany. And I haven't read them all, but I'm still going to say that. Wow, just incredible. So it centers on a prison break from a Nazi prisoner, political prisoner camp. Amazingly, 7 political prisoners make a prison break, and all hell breaks loose. The head of the prison camp and all the guards are just incensed that this has happened. It reflects so badly on their control of the camp and is a metaphor for opposition to the Nazi regime across the country that doesn't go over well with the Nazi powers that be. The main character here is George Heisler, and he is a communist prisoner, and we experience much of the story through his point of view, as he is quote-unquote a free man trying to evade capture throughout the rest of the novel. I won't say anything about his fate or the fate of any of the other 6 prisoners, but the novel is largely concerned with what happens to them. So that makes it quite a suspense story. It's action-packed, it's a page-turner. But you know me, what I loved about it was that it was a profoundly literary exploration of life in a totalitarian society, and focuses on well over 30 characters, and there is a list of characters that you can refer to keep yourself oriented. But what I appreciated the most was how deeply Seghers took us inside the consciousness of the people living life outside the prison camp as they wrestled with their conscience and wrestled with their fear of being imprisoned, murdered, tortured by the Nazis should they come to the assistance of these escaped prisoners. That was absolutely profound. It's a deeply psychological novel as well as being an action-packed page-turner. That's all I want to say about the plot, but it's the best book of the 20th century that nobody's ever heard of unless you're German or follow NYRB books. Anna Seghers' life was incredibly fascinating, and what little I know about it I want to pass on to you to get you even more interested in reading this book. She was born in 1900 in Mainz, Germany, and grew up to be a communist, and she was Jewish. So she fled Germany in 1933, no surprise. She first went to Switzerland for a short time, then to Paris, and then when the Nazis invaded France, she fled to Mexico, where she stayed until 1947. Another absolutely incredible thing about this novel is that she didn't live in Nazi Germany and wrote such a piercing, layered, detailed novel about what life actually was like in her homeland, but she herself didn't experience it. It was all secondhand accounts and research, and it really is just, when you consider that, it's all the more stunning. So I'm just going to close by reading you a short passage from early in the book. I should have said this before, but the story is set before the outbreak of World War II, so sometime in the 1930s. And this passage shows how the fear of being killed, imprisoned, tortured in a totalitarian regime keeps people from communicating about anything that really matters, especially of a political nature. So in this short passage, one of the main characters, Franz, he has suspected that one of his co-workers has anti-Nazi views, but they have never talked. They work together every day, but it's not possible to have this kind of communication because somebody will inform on them and results will be horrific. So this takes place just after the prison break. Weigand was an older, quite hairy little man whose nickname was Woodchip. It was a good thing that his voice blended in with the high and piercing noise of the fan belt. For as he was vacuuming up the waste dust, he said to Franz without moving his lips, "Did you hear? At the concentration camp in Westhofen?" Franz, looking down into little Woodchip's clear, almost innocent eyes, saw those tiny light spots he had been so keenly waiting for. As if deep inside the man a fire was burning and sending its last sparks out through the eyes. At last, thought Franz. By then, Woodchip had already passed on to the next man. That quote gives me a great segue into just wrapping this review up. It is those last sparks that several characters take the courage to send out into the world that propels the story forward with such moral ferocity. I loved it. You must read it. Anna Seghers, The Seventh Cross. Hey, this is Editing Shawn. I totally forgot to mention that November is German Lit Month. Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures has a video about it. I will put a link in the show notes, and you should consider reading this novel for German Lit Month. Good timing, hey? And just as a last comment, the translator, her last translation was this book and another book called Transit by Anna Seghers, and then she died, age 91, Margot Batauer Dembo. But she did finish translating one more book at the age of 91 before she shuffled off this mortal coil, a collection of Anna Seghers' short stories. Forthcoming. Can't wait for those. Thanks for watching.